There are two great forces that shape every human life: the will of the world and the will of the self. The world wants you to conform. It wants you to be predictable, to be safe, to fit a pre-made mold. It will offer you rewards for your obedience. But your self, the true you that exists beneath the noise of expectation, wants only one thing: to be authentic. And every single day, these two forces are at war. That war is the source of the profound exhaustion you feel. It is the friction of a life lived against its own grain, the weariness that comes from performing a role that was never written for you. But there is another path. It is not about winning the war against the world. It is about making the war irrelevant. It is the path of the master sculptor, the path of taking the hammer and chisel into your own hands and carving your true self into existence. Part 1. Recognizing the foreign chisels. Before a sculptor can create a masterpiece, they must first clear the studio of other people's tools. For us, this means learning to recognize the external pressures that try to shape us against our nature. There are two primary chisels we face every day. First, there is the chisel of comparison. This is the relentless pressure of the modern world, broadcast through our screens. It shows us an endless parade of perfect lives, curated careers, and flawless relationships. We look at this curated reality and mistake it for the truth. We then turn that chisel against our own uncarved stone, trying to replicate a shape that was never meant for us. This path leads only to envy and a feeling of inadequacy. The second is the chisel of convention. This is the well-worn path, the safe route. It's the voice of tradition and expectation that says, this is how a successful life is supposed to look. Go to this college, get this job, buy this house. It pressures you to choose security over passion and acceptance over authenticity. To follow convention is to let a ghost from the past design your future. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard warned against this, believing that the crowd is the ultimate untruth, a force that sedates our unique individual spirit. To find ourselves, we must first be willing to step away from the noise. Imagine a young person, Alex. Alex has a deep, quiet passion for fixing and restoring old things. Watches, furniture, electronics. It's a craft that feels true. But all of Alex's friends are on a fast track into tech and finance. They talk about stock options and promotions. The chisel of comparison makes Alex feel behind. The chisel of convention tells Alex that a career as a craftsman is impractical and unimpressive. So, Alex studies for a certification they don't want, to get a job they don't like, to impress people they don't even know that well. This is how we let foreign chisels carve us into a shape that betrays our soul. Part 2. Finding the grain of the marble. Once you recognize the foreign chisels, you must begin the real work, discovering the nature of your own stone. Every block of marble has a unique grain, a natural direction of strength and beauty. To carve against the grain is to risk shattering the entire stone. To carve with it is to create a masterpiece. Your identity is this grain. But how do you find it? You must practice the ancient art of self-inquiry. This requires silence. It requires you to turn down the volume of the world, so you can finally hear the quiet whisper of your own intuition. This is the principle at the heart of nearly all great philosophies. From the oracle at Delphi's command, "Know thyself," to the Taoist, sage Lao Tzu's teaching, to know others is wisdom. To know oneself is enlightenment. This is not a passive act. It requires you to become a detective of your own energy. For 1 week, carry a small notebook. At the end of every hour, write down one sentence about how you feel. What activities gave you energy? What conversations drained you? Who were you with when you felt most like yourself? Who were you with when you felt you were playing a role? The answers are data. They are clues to the grain of your marble. Let's say Alex, feeling exhausted by their conventional path, decides to try this. For a weekend, they turn off social media and go to a quiet cabin. They have their notebook. They notice that studying for their certification feels heavy, like a chore. The thought of their corporate job feels grey. But then, they spend 3 hours taking apart and fixing an old radio they found. They lose all track of time. Looking at their notebook, they write, "I feel alive. I feel smart. I feel like myself." This is the discovery of the grain. It's not a lightning bolt from the heavens. It's a quiet, undeniable feeling of rightness. It is the feeling of coming home to yourself. Part 3. Becoming the sculptor. Discovering your identity is not enough. The world will not simply step aside and allow you to be yourself. You must pick up the chisel. You must have the courage to make the first cut. This is the discipline of action. It is the conscious and often difficult choice to align your life with your newfound understanding of who you are. This is where you take pride in your uniqueness and defend it against the forces of convention and comparison. This is the great theme of American philosophy, captured perfectly by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He is the patron saint of the individual. He famously wrote, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." This accomplishment is not won in a single day. It is won in 1,000 small, courageous choices. Alex comes back from the cabin. The grain of the marble is clear. Alex quits the certification course. This choice is met with confusion and disapproval from some. It's scary, but it feels true. Alex enrolls in a local trade school for restoration. Alex starts a small Instagram page, not for likes, but to document the beauty of the craft. At first, it's a struggle. There is less money, less external validation, but there is no more friction. There is no more exhaustion from performing a life that doesn't fit. The pride Alex feels from restoring a single, beautiful wooden chair is greater than any pride a corporate promotion could have ever offered. This pride comes not from what the world thinks of the work, but from the simple, profound fact that the work is an expression of Alex's true self. Alex has become the sculptor. As Emerson also wrote, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist." Every cut you make against the expectations of the crowd is an act of liberation. When you find the grain of your own marble and have the courage to carve in that direction, a strange magic happens. The people who loved the uncarved, conventional block you were pretending to be will fall away. Let them. They were never your audience, but new people will arrive. People who are drawn to the unique beauty of your finished statue. They will not ask you to be different. They will not ask you to be less. They will admire the work for what it is, because it is authentic. This is the ultimate freedom. To walk through the world, not as a nervous audition, but as a finished piece of art. To know your own value, independent of the world's applause. To finally put down the exhausting weight of being someone else. You were not born to be a copy. You were born with a unique desire, a unique talent, a unique purpose that only you can fulfill. The world is full of cheap replicas. Be an original. Pick up the chisel. The masterpiece of your life is waiting. What will you carve?